Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show. We give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Mark Ellis.
Welcome one and all to the best movie news show in the entire galaxy. My name is Mark, and on today's show, Creed 2 gets a new director, Black Panther gets a new trailer, and Disney, well, they just might get Fox after all. Who's joining me today, Ashley, and do we have any special guests?
That we do, but first, also here is Jon Schnepp.
Hey, what's up? I'm not the special guest today.
No,
but
you are special.
You'll see that person very, very soon. Bye.
Also here is Kristian Harloff.
I know I haven't been on a lot lately, but I figured I'd come on today and talk. And I knew Ashley was very excited that I was going to be here today. It was just me, right?
I am.
Right, okay, good.
But you know, out of all the intros that I have ever done on this show, you guys, Jared Haibon is here.
Oh, thank you guys. I'm the guest. I don't feel too. I'm not that special, guys. So honestly, come on now.
Hey, look,
We'll find out by the end of the show.
What happened
That's true.
to your Patriots last night? You yourself
we don't talk
are
about
very
what happened.
special. It is good to have you make your debut on Movie Talk. This is
Yeah,
it.
this is my debut. Thank you for having me. This is great.
Jared, huge movie fan, huge Star Wars fan. You guys probably know him from his appearances on The Bachelorette, amongst a lot of other cool YouTube movie kind of things. Great to have you here. Kristian, great to have you back. You, Schnepp, and Ashley have all now seen Star Wars The Last Jedi, so we're all going to get into that just a little bit. Obviously, there's not going to be any spoilers, not even really any reviews on this show, but it is interesting to note that the official Lucasfilm Disney review embargo for The Last Jedi is officially up now, so you're going to start to see the Collider and the Schmoes No non-spoiler reviews pop up on your feeds. Check them out if you want to. We didn't give away anything. It's just our take on how we feel about The Last Jedi without giving away any plot details, anything like that. Kristian, good to have you back as well. You've been away for about a week. You were either interviewing for the Giants head coaching vacancy
Or jury duty.
You have been, are you allowed to say that?
I just did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm
Spoiler
allowed.
alert for his personal life.
If not, someone's going to... I've been talking about it all week that I was on jury duty, so someone's going to come get me. I had a ban that I didn't have to go for another year.
Yeah.
But probably because I've been talking about it, I'd go back next week.
I thought you were just immersed in like a Star Wars back to thank for the last week. Nope, he's been deciding somebody's fate. Okay.
Me. This is the guy you want to decide whether or not you did something or not. Yeah, I think you stole the Triscuits.
The Triscuit thief has been
Guilty.
caught. Yeah. Thanks to Kristian George Harloff. We are going to kick off with some very interesting news, kind of a combo package to kick off our first story, Ash. What do we got?
Variety has updated the status of the proposed Disney/Fox merger and is now reporting that the Mouse House has such an inside track on a $60 billion plus agreement that Comcast has formally exited the deal. While implications for the merger remain foggy, one thing most fans want to see is the Fantastic Four and the X-Men return to the MCU, and especially if it's enough to lure Hugh Jackman out of retirement. But according to Jackman himself, don't hold your breath. The actor recently spoke with Collider at the junket for Greatest Showman on Earth about his chances of returning as Logan, where he said, "It's interesting because for the whole 17 years, I kept thinking that would be so great. Like, I would love to see particularly Iron Man and the Hulk and Wolverine together. And every time I saw an Avengers movie, I could just see Wolverine in the middle of all of them, like punching them all in the head. But it was like, oh, well, that's not going to happen. And it was interesting. Just when I first saw that headline, it was just the possibility of it. And who knows what's going to happen? Obviously, I was like, hang on. But I think, unfortunately, the ship has sailed for me. But for someone else, I would like to see Wolverine in there." Mark, thoughts on Jackman's comments about not returning as Wolverine should Disney buy Fox?
Well, it's a funny thing about when ships sail is that sometimes the captain forgets his keys and has to go back into land and grab them and then go back out to sea. Let's talk about the Wolverine thing in just a minute, because I think Comcast here is the big story, because Comcast pulling out means that Disney's primary competition for acquiring a whole boatload of Fox properties is now out of the picture. If this is a playoff race, Disney now has home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and I think that this deal is now imminent, with Disney just being too big of a giant for anybody, even a huge company like Comcast, to be able to compete with. But Jared, you and I were talking at the pre-production meeting about Hugh Jackman's comments as Wolverine, whereas we want to make it a story where he's definitely saying he's not returning as Wolverine. Do you see things going that way?
I'm not sure. He kind of sounds like a fanboy a little bit. Like, he's honestly fanboying about the idea of Disney buying Fox and the possibility of like the X-Men turning into the MCU. And so personally, I don't want Wolverine to be played by Hugh Jackman anymore. I think it's time to introduce a new Wolverine, especially in the MCU, because if he comes back, what's he going to come back for? A cameo in the Avengers? Is he going to come back for one movie? Like, I don't think Hugh Jackman's ready to play Wolverine for 3 or 4 more movies. And I think MCU is buying these characters because they're like, all right, we want the X-Men, we want Wolverine, we want to introduce a new story arcs with these characters. And so I don't think it would make sense for Marvel. I don't think it would make sense for Hugh Jackman, because especially in Logan, it was just such a nice little ending to his story for playing Wolverine. And so I'm not sure if it would work out for either party.
Well, if I take Hugh Jackman out of the picture and I say that, okay, Disney just acquired all these properties, right? And let's say that because they could get Deadpool and they could get Alien, and they don't have to put all of them in the MCU, but if you had to take one character from this Fox lore that we have and place them into the MCU, would it be Wolverine? Would it be Deadpool? Who are you most looking forward to possibly appearing in like an Avengers-style movie?
Honestly, I would have originally said Venom. Like, I'd love to see Venom in MCU. Having said that, though, I really like the idea of an R-rated Venom movie starring Tom Hardy, which is what Sony announced that they were going to do before this whole merger took place. And so that concerns me, because is Disney really ready to do an R-rated Venom movie? It's going to be interesting because, like, New Mutants comes out next year, and that looks like it's going to be a straight-up horror movie, and that's going to be Disney property coming out in March. So it's going to be interesting how Disney handles that and how they handle if they buy Deadpool. What does that mean? If they get Venom, what does that mean for the future of Venom? It's all going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you bring up, and there was a great article on Collider.com this morning by Matt Goldberg about, like, what does it actually mean if Disney acquires Fox for the Fox properties? Are they going to become Disneyfied in a way? Kristian, do you see it going that way? Or do you see the mouse allowing these other movies and these other franchises to continue to play ball in the arena that they set for themselves?
Well, first of all, I don't agree with anything Jared said, and actually I agree with everything he said.
Yankees, Red Sox.
I was just going to wheel myself all set.
I completely agree with you. I think that when it comes to Hugh Jackman and Wolverine, I think that he had such a poetic finish with Logan. I think Logan itself was a good way for him to say, I don't need to play this character anymore. You guys have had me in this thing since 2000. I've been Wolverine for 17 years. If you can't deal with that, I apologize, but I'm done. Someone else can pick up the mantle. We've had 3 Spider-Mans, we've had 4 or 5 Batmans. Maybe it's time for another Wolverine, and if it comes, it's a good way to do it. If now, I think the fans would accept it if you had this thing happen with Fox, whatever you might think about the actual deal. If it happens, and we just have to accept it as fans that Fox is indeed coming over to Disney, and the X-Men are going to come over, Wolverine should be introduced as somebody new, because that's a brand new way to say, okay, this is our Wolverine. This is not the Wolverine that you knew before. This is a new Wolverine. And I don't know if they would bring over Fassbender and McAvoy. Maybe they just reboot the whole entire thing. Maybe that's a way that they can do it also, because I don't necessarily want them to do that, because I like McAvoy and Fassbender so much, but it is a way for them to say, no, this is our X-Men. This is what we have now.
Yeah, Schnepp, if I give you the keys to this new kingdom that Disney, it seems is imminent acquiring all these properties, how would you introduce a character from Fox into the MCU? Who would be your lead dog?
Well, I just wanted to correct you. Sony owns Venom, so it's still going to be rated R.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't matter what Disney does.
We still get a very violent Venom with a lot of
Tom
Star
Hardy.
Wars.
He
Love
can
it.
do whatever the F he wants.
Perfect.
It's going to be rated R. It has nothing to do with his merger. But we're talking about X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Wolverine showing up in Avengers 4. He's saying he's not going to do it. It could happen if they do some kind of Thanos, Infinity Gauntlet, time crystal, weird. Like,
Ask Doctor Strange. Ask your buddy.
We could see a scene like that. All it would be is for the fans. That's what it would be for, because they are going to reboot the X-Men, and it's going to be all new X-Men, all new Wolverine, all new, a whole new cast. So I think X-Men Dark Phoenix is it for the X-Men characters that we know from this entire universe that Fox has been doing. So. What are they going to do with Deadpool? Hard to tell. I think that my guess is monetarily it makes sense to let them finish the 3 Deadpool movies. They've already got the second one in the can that comes out next year. I think all the changes that Marvel will be doing and Disney proper will be doing will be happening in late 2019, early 2020 to go along with Phase 4, whatever they're going to call it. So obviously X-Men, New Mutants, Deadpool, all that stuff's going to come out next year as planned. But then we're going to see less films. We're not going to see. I hate to say that, because What If New Mutants is incredible. It's an amazing horror series. They've written it so that it is a trilogy based off Chris Claremont and Bill Sienkiewicz's run. So to me, as a comic book fan, that kind of bums me out. I'm like, well, you're throwing away all this stuff in exchange for like, well, they're going to redo the New Mutants in 2030, like once they've done all these other movies. I don't know how that's all going to shake out. Is Hugh Jackman going to come back? For myself as a fan, it'd be fun to see him for like 1 minute show up with a, what are you doing, bub? Like with Captain America and Iron Man, a fan service type scene with the Infinity Gauntlet, some weird, look, we're in a time vortex, whatever. If it happens, that'd be cool. It doesn't matter to me that much. And it's not like it's violating the Hugh Jackman's I retired thing. It's a little quick clip. So
no, and it's
I don't
also
think it's a big
the
deal.
X-Men are so good at just massaging is a loose way of saying they can just screw with their own timelines.
Yeah.
And so you could put Hugh Jackman as Wolverine somewhere in the Avengers, and if people would rail against it in one sense, saying, oh, this is just fan service, and then the fan in me would be like, yeah, that's awesome. I love seeing that. The same way that I love seeing Hugh Jackman's cameo as Wolverine in X-Men First Class. Even if it's something as small as that, I think it would be awesome. But let's not confuse things here. Disney's going to acquire Fox. That's at least my take on it. It doesn't mean that as soon as they buy it, the next day they're going to wedge all of these Fox properties into Avengers Infinity War. We're going to have some post-credit scene with like aliens and xenomorphs eating predators. That's not going to happen yet. However, the fear that a lot of people have with Disney acquiring Fox, and Jared, I think you did a great job pointing out, is do things become too Disney-fied? Now, taking the Last Jedi out of it, if you just look at Rogue One and you look at The Force Awakens, I think Star Wars fans, Kristian, when Disney got that in 2012, one of the hesitations was, is this going to be our Star Wars? Those movies felt like my Star Wars. Now, it's less of a hurdle, I would say, because Star Wars is not known for having an R-rated movie and having potty mouths and all that stuff, but Rogue One was a very deep, intense movie that felt Star Warsy, and it did not feel Disney-fied at all.
Disney owns Marvel. Marvel made Daredevil. Marvel made Punisher. Disney. Granted, it's not on the screen, but it's still a property of theirs, and that's on Netflix. That's part of the Disney brand. So if they can go and expand, let Marvel do that. Now the question is,
they're going in different directions though with the TV and the film. To be fair, because Disney's going to have their own streaming service, so you're never going to see like a Punisher on the streaming service.
But that's where I was going. So like I think that when you look at the fact that the question is going to be, will that transfer over once the streaming happens with Disney? Will that start to change? Because if that starts to change, then the question and the concerns can start to come up, because this is what Marvel has done over on Netflix and this platform to let them allow what kind of handcuffs will be on, if any, on the Disney streaming service. Now, if you go to the movie side of the things, now you're right. Rogue One you're never going to get an R-rated Star Wars movie. Now, you might get something.
You don't think Tarantino's got an idea floating around in his head for Star Wars?
I'm sure a lot of people have ideas floating around in their head, but I don't think that's a brand that I don't think will ever have an R-rated film. I could be wrong, and I don't like to really say never say. I like to say never say never, but we'll. I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen as far as Deadpool goes because of the success of the film. Now, Disney would have to change their strategy. Disney would have to change. Maybe there's a different division that they create. I mean, Disney has been good at evolving. So maybe Disney with this brand, maybe this is the time for them to say we're making a division of Disney now that caters towards a more mature audience. Maybe they won't do that, but you never. They're always associated with Mickey Mouse. Always.
Yeah, Ash, are you just getting some story fatigue from all these different reports that we have of the Disney-Fox deal? Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And is Comcast pulling out? It finally show you the finish line for all this.
Well, I think it's obviously going to happen, and I do believe Wolverine when he says that he's done. I do believe Hugh Jackman when he says that he's done with Wolverine. I just associate the two so much. But what I would love to see is kind of like a break for Hugh Jackman and him to come back, like Schnepp was saying, in a cameo years down the line. Considering his age, I don't know how realistic that is, but I would love a cameo where you're just like, oh, snap, Wolverine is back, at least for just a cameo for the fans,
Yeah, maybe he could show up, and then Doctor Strange could like timeline it back into young Wolverine, and then then here's your new Wolverine, and then we just go from there.
That sounds horrible.
I wrote a pretty bad movie, so to quote Axl Rose, maybe we should just move to the next story and get in the ring.
Those who don't make movies talk about it on Movie Talk.
Variety reports that MGM and Warner Brothers have hired up-and-coming director Stephen Caple Jr. to direct Michael B. Jordan, Sylvester Stallone, and Tessa Thompson in Creed 2. It was previously reported that Stallone had considered directing the sequel at one point, but after talking it over with Jordan and the execs, made the decision to find another director, and after a lengthy search, both Jordan and Stallone personally picked Caple to take on the reins. Production is expected to start in spring of 2018 with a release date set for November 2020. 21st, 2018. Kristian, what do you think about Stephen Caple Jr. directing Creed 2?
I dig it. I think that this goes off of what that happened with Creed. Nobody really knew unless you had seen Fruitvale Station who Ryan Coogler was. Ryan Coogler and again, being very close to Michael B. Jordan. Now, Steven is also very close to Michael B. Jordan, I believe, because there was rumors that Stallone was going to come in here and direct. And I think that whether it was Michael B. Jordan who had conversations with Sly and they both agreed on maybe that they should just kind of focus both on acting and let this guy take over and have a different take on it. I'm sure Coogler's going to have some involvement in producing, is what they're saying, or he
executive producer.
He should. And I think that, and again, after speaking with Ryan Coogler, this isn't one of those things where it's going to be like, oh, his name is on it. He'll give his notes. He'll be involved in this project. He is very passionate about Creed, and Michael B. Jordan is a close friend of his. So I think that with all of these talented minds, Stallone, Michael B. Jordan, Coogler, and then what's Steven's last name?
Stephen Caple Jr.
See, I don't know him yet, and I'm excited to know. I haven't seen his films yet, but I trust in the vision of if Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, and Sly all came to say this is the guy we want to tell our story, then I'm going to trust them because the team really worked the first time, and if they believe that this is the guy that's going to bring the vision to the second film. Now, I'm curious what the second movie is going to be. I'm not crazy about the Michael B. Jordan trying to investigate and going to talk to Drago 30 years later about why'd you kill my dad? Well, I was hopped up on steroids and I was fighting for the wrong government at the time. I'm sorry. Right. Okay, cool. Movie's over. It's like,
look, I told him I must break him, and the 80s were crazy, and I had to live up to the promise. Sorry about that.
Look, kid, like I always say, if you remember the 80s, you weren't there. Now get the hell out of my backyard.
My dad was dating Grace Jones. I was hopped up on all kinds of amphetamines. I was 3 years old.
You know what they're going to say? Go talk to my kid. He's going to meet you in the ring, and that's what's going to happen.
Hey, Johnny, here's an apple.
Right. And somebody dressed like Putin is going to be there.
I think more people had that fear with Sylvester Stallone directing because you've seen the movies that he's done in the Rocky franchise, which, by the way, I mean, look, I love the way that he made a Rocky movie. The way that Sylvester Stallone crafts a montage is better than anything I've ever seen in sports montage movie history. But, Jared, if you look at the way the Creed 2 is going, if I had one person that was a USC film student that could direct this movie, I would have gone with Robert Butler III. If he's not available, then I'm going Stephen Caple Jr. because I love having a new take on Rocky, should have a fresh director's take behind the camera guiding this action. And I mean, I think a lot of people were not hesitant, but they were curious to see what Ryan Coogler could do because as great as Fruitvale Station was and as a dramatic of a story as that was, we didn't know if he could pull off a good boxing scene. He certainly proved that he could do that. So I think Stephen Caple Jr. learning from the Rocky, like literally learning from Stallone and Rocky as to how a boxing scene could be crafted, having Ryan Coogler help guide him, I think this is going to be a great conduit and a new director could be on the scene after seeing Creed 2. How do you feel?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think it's also important to remember this is not a Rocky movie. This is not about Rocky. This is about Adonis Creed. This is kind of like, it takes place in the Rocky universe, the Rocky franchise, but it's about a new character learning himself, learning his place in the world. And that kind of gave me hesitation about Stallone directing it because I have those Rocky movies. Like I have Rocky 2, 3, 4. 5 never happened, and then Rocky Balboa. And so, like, I have those movies, and they're important to me. But the cool thing about Creed was that it took Rocky, but it took it in a new direction with new characters, a new director in Ryan Coogler, who did a great job, who wasn't really well known. And they're kind of doing that format again with Stephen Caple Jr., who's not really well known. He only did one movie, The Land, and now they're giving him the Rocky franchise. And so I really like they're giving it to a new direction. I want to see these stories kind of develop. I want to see more out of Adonis. And people are a little concerned that, Caple hasn't really done much, but like we had the same thing. We said the same thing about Coogler. Yeah. We also said the same thing about Patty Jenkins with Wonder Woman. She didn't really do much. And then all of a sudden Warner Brothers is giving her this Wonder Woman. And so
Ryan Johnson's biggest movie was Looper, which was only like $30 million, $40 million movie.
I like the idea of these big, movie franchises giving, something like Rocky, a beloved franchise, to a new director, giving it a new perspective and pushing these characters forward. And so I'm down. I'm 100% behind this.
Creed 2, new young director, Jon Schnepp. You are yourself a fresh young director. How do you feel about this?
I don't know about fresh or young. Well, fresh, yeah. I'm waiting for Creed 3, like Mr. T's kid with the tri-mohawk, like a three-way mohawk.
Clubber Lang was supposed to be in Rocky Balboa, but he wanted too much money. So Stallone was like,
Mr. T
wanted too much money.
Kid,
that's what they said.
Mr. Clubber Lang's kid, Creed 3. That's the one I'm holding. This one, look, get some fresh blood in there. Makes sense. Keep the franchise going. The whole Drago's son thing, it's kind of corny to me, but whatever. I mean, that's what I look at it. It's like, I'll just have to wait and see. Obviously, there's something they saw in this guy that they're like, look, this guy can continue forward with this franchise because we're doing other stuff. Coolers on Black Panther and other films. So it makes sense to me. It's not really my thing anyway. I'm not a big, I liked Creed. I wasn't a giant fan of it. So
Stephen Caple Jr. directing the new movie Creed 2. Sylvester Stallone, great director, but I like him more doing documentaries like Rocky 4. Ashley, we're going to move on to opening this week, and I am so thrilled. I didn't know that you also got a chance to check out this movie that is going to be in theaters this weekend.
Yep.
Tell us about this little space fantasy.
A little movie called Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Rey develops her newly discovered abilities with the guidance of Luke Skywalker, who is unsettled by the strength of her powers. Meanwhile, the Resistance prepares to do battle with the First Order.
It's the movie of the year, kids. It's episode 8 in the Star Wars franchise. Force Awakens broke box office records left and right. I think that The Last Jedi is going to compete with The Force Awakens as far as box office numbers go. If the sports marketing campaign that we were watching last night on Monday Night Football is any indication, they're literally having commercials that say, "Don't let anyone spoil this for you," showing one quick shot of the movie, because I think that they're like, hey, we know it's a lofty goal to get to 250 million, but if there's one movie that could do it, it would be The Last Jedi. I think it's going to land around 230, 235, but I mean, now we can talk about it a little bit. I don't want to give away my thoughts even too much on movie talk. You can check out our reviews on Schmoes No and Collider, like I said. But Kristian, The Last Jedi, why is it a movie that people should check out in theaters?
Well, I mean, it's nice. Right? It's like kind of rhetorical, huh? But I think that the movie itself, there are certain movies that are out in the theater that I don't think necessarily need a theater watch. I think that there are some movies that you might just enjoy sitting down in your home and chilling out. Like again, Shape of Water to me is a beautiful movie, and I think that it could be seen on the big screen and you could love it. But I don't think it's a necessity to see the big screen.
Like Wonder's one of your favorite movies of the year.
I loved Wonder, and I don't think Wonder is a movie that you need to see in the theater. But Star Wars is a spectacle. It is something that you go because it is something that really invented the blockbuster. I mean, you could say Jaws, but I mean, this movie really changed the game in 1977, and it is something still, like, even when you go, whether or not you're a huge fan of Star Wars or not, there's something about the energy in the crowd when it's about to start, and the logo comes up, and then the titles come up, and then it's just one of those things. It's just even people when I saw some people at the screening that weren't necessarily, they weren't hardcore sweaties, as you would say. They were just casual fans, but even they were amped up to see what's next. What are they going to bring us next? The galaxy that they have created is so open that there are so many possibilities. Now, I think this is going to be a divisive movie. I really do. I think there's going to be a lot of people who have one particular thought process on it and think that there were some things that were wrong and need to be right, but I think that those same people will want to see it again. And I think that Star Wars causes conversation, and this is a movie that I think you absolutely should see in the theater.
Jon Schnepp, you had a chance to check it out yesterday. I know Kristian got to see it for the second time yesterday. Right. You had your inaugural experience. Even though we're getting them every 2 years now, the episodic movies, at least through episode 9, it just doesn't feel like that often. You get to sit in the theater and experience a new Star Wars movie for the first time. Do you feel like sharing any of your initial, if vague, reactions?
Yes, I'll keep very vague. But yeah, the electricity is still there for me every time when the Star Wars comes on. I'm bracing myself for it. I love that they have a long time ago and together. This is very much a very powerful film. Hits and misses with me, highs and lows, a lot of emotional, crazy connections. Found myself openly fighting against weeping, and I was uncontrollably weeping in the theater at certain times. Other times filled with an ecstatic joy that I think only a film like Star Wars. If you love Star Wars, you'll have those moments. Also, surprisingly, a couple of WTF moments, a lot of scenarios that kind of go nowhere. So we'll just leave it at that. As far as I found it very uneven, but also ultimately satisfying. And I think Mark Hamill steals the movie. I mean, Luke Skywalker is just, every scene that Skywalker is in is electric and filled with joy and laughs and sorrow and fun and pain and everything. I mean, just to see that character come back in such a strong way and kind of own the entire film was the joy of this film for me, The Last Jedi. So.
Yeah, Ashley, I'm reading a lot of excitement from everybody, and then you also hear the words either divisive or uneven. I don't necessarily agree with those terms when I saw the movie, and I tweeted this GIF out for a number of different reasons, but the main one is that I was just so excited to be at a Star Wars event and see a new Star Wars movie, which is why I tweeted out a GIF of the greatest player of all time, Michael Jordan, as opposed to a lesser player like a Kobe Bryant. You got to see the
dare
movie
you.
yesterday. I'm so glad you got a chance to check it out. Do you have any opening thoughts?
Well, you guys just do this amazing job talking about movies without giving much away. And I don't know if I have that ability, but I will try my hardest. What I will say was I love the energy. I mean, people were cheering, you know, when it was an exciting energy to be a part of. There were juicy moments. And if I could have a Porg as a pet, I would buy one. I would buy all of them.
I'd put one on the grill.
Every time they came on screen, it was just, I'm obsessed with Porgs, but I did like it.
We got Porgs, Jedi, Crystal, Fox, Dire Wolves, Puppies. Jared Haibon, you've not yet had a chance. You got tickets on Friday, so I'll be seeing it
on Friday
for my second time, about the same time you're seeing it for your first time.
Oh.
The anticipation level. It's Tuesday right now. You got 3 days left. Where are your emotions?
Like, my emotions are all over the place right now. I'm hearing divisive. I'm hearing the best Star Wars moments you'll see. Luke Skywalker's a badass. It's great. It's okay. They swung for the fences. Some hit and misses. It's like I'm trying not to read anything or like be on Twitter or see any reviews, but it's so hard because so many people are talking about this movie, and my anticipation for this movie is through the roof. Even like when you guys are talking about it, I find myself like giddy because I'm like, I need to see this movie. And so I actually have a question because you guys have seen it, and I don't know if this is too specific. Do you think that there's any chance that this movie is not fresh on Rotten Tomatoes?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No way.
I would just say, here's what I would say. Like, I've been trying to do this with blockbusters now. Like, I did it for Justice League. Like, I like just lower your expectations because when you get so jacked up for a movie that you've been waiting for years, it's a 2-hour experience. This is 2.5 hour. This is 2.5.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, it's like it's a small moment of one day of your life, and it's like you've waited. You've got every day. There's like somebody talking about it. So like years of anticipation. When you go see the film, just lower your anticipation, lower your expectations. Not because the movie is bad or good, but because you just don't want to be like, oh, you don't want all of your thoughts to be attacking you while you see the movie.
Yeah.
Let the movie take you over. That's what I would say.
It's funny that you say that because I agree with you 100%. And it's not a matter of it's like lower your expectations because it's not a good movie. I know exactly what you're saying because people got on me on Saturday night. Like everybody was tweeting out their responses, and I waited. And at 12:30, I was on the way back in an Uber, and I wrote, the movie took some chances. I need to see it again. It's a ballsy movie. And we were like, what's that? Did you like it or not? I said, I need some time to think about it. And I knew that I was seeing it again. Not everybody's going to have is going to be able to go see it right away 2 days later. Maybe you will. But I just needed some time to marinate. I needed some time to think about it because my experience watching it the first time was significantly different than the second time I watched it. And there's a lot of what you're talking about. I went in there not necessarily wanting theories of mine to come true or certain expectations, but there are certain ideas of, oh, well, interesting. I wonder why they did that when they should. But now I knew it was coming the second time. And there's still a lot of stuff I didn't like, but there's a lot of stuff I loved.
I just need to see this movie. My God, it's like killing me.
Yeah.
I can understand the strategy if you're telling your friend or somebody or a fan to lower your expectations going into a movie. But A, I think that's a crazy ask because I don't think it's possible to do. And B, I would say don't, because this is part of the fun of seeing Star Wars is the getting hyped for it. That's why all of our heads are now turning towards Jared right now and to see what his reaction to the movies because we want to see other people experience it for the first time. So I would say don't lower your expectations. I would say get hyped as you possibly can for this movie. You get to the theater early, you go to the concessions, you get yourself a large corn, whatever carbonated beverage of your choice that you feel like watching a movie with, and you have a blast watching a new Star Wars movie. Check it out, and then we're going to have a whole lot of content this week, next week, for a lot of weeks to come on The Last Jedi, the new Star Wars movie, Episode 8. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for my brother. I can see it with him in Seattle on Friday. So it's just very, very exciting for all of us here. Something that's also exciting, if we have any money left from our Last Jedi expenditures, is that buy or sell is here. We're going to say whether we buy or sell a topic that Ashley gives us. What's up first?
Deadline reports that Seth Rogen has signed on to play legendary CBS newsman Walter Cronkite in the upcoming drama Newsflash, directed by his Pineapple Express director David Gordon Green. The drama takes place on November 22nd, 1963, the day of President John F. Kennedy's assassination, unfolding in real time as Cronkite and his producer Don Hewitt attempt to report on one of the biggest news stories in history. Mark Ruffalo is being courted for the role of Hewitt, while Bryan Cranston is being eyed to play Jim Aubrey, the boss of CBS News, who attempts to find ways to juice up the coverage. The plan is to shoot next spring with an aim towards having the film ready for the 55th anniversary of JFK's death next November. Jared, do you buy or sell Seth Rogen as Walter Cronkite in Newsflash?
I am buying this 100%. I love the idea of an actor kind of going outside of his norm. We've seen it before with comedic actors turning dramatic, whether it be Steve Carell, Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, like the list goes on, and a lot of them nail it. Now, there's some hit and misses, like Adam Sandler. You could argue that he's not really a dramatic actor. But I really like the idea of Seth Rogen taking up a role that he normally wouldn't. And I love that he's reunited with David Gordon Green, who they were on Pineapple Express together with, and it seems like the movie's, it's taking itself very seriously. Mark Ruffalo is attached to this product. Bryan Cranston is attached to it. So it should be very interesting. The only thing that kind of gives me a little bit of pause is the fact that Green is directing Halloween right now, and that's either it's right before filming or it's in production or pre-production.
In production right now.
Yeah, but so they want this movie out by November of next year. So is Green going to go directly off the set of Halloween onto this set and then film that? I don't know. I just don't want him to get burned out because I do like the concept. I love the idea of telling this story about the media the day JFK got shot. I love the idea of Seth Rogen playing Walter Cronkite because it's so outside of the norm that I can't wait to see what he does with the characters, see how good Seth Rogen is in the movie. But that's the only thing that kind of gives me maybe a little bit of pause.
Yeah, the timing for me was interesting too with David Gordon Green. What I will say is he's doing Halloween, but he also has a team around him as far as producers go, Danny McBride and others that are very excited about Halloween. So if they can get principal photography done and wrapped and then in the can, and then he can be helping with the post-production, but also turning his eye towards making this movie, which I think would be a very important and timely movie in the same way that the Post is about historical events, but also really is a harbinger of some, things that could be happening in the future if we, continue to not allow the media to be to have the freedom of the press. With here, Schnepp, this is very interesting having it from the eye of covering a news story, maybe the biggest news story of the 20th century with the assassination of JFK. Seth Rogen as Walter Cronkite is a buy for me because when we heard Daniel Day-Lewis was going to play Lincoln, we're like, oh, let's see what that first image looks like. We're like, whoa, it looks like him. Gary Oldman, right. Playing Churchill. Whoa, look at that. I'm excited to see what Rogen looks like as Walter Cronkite and how he delivers the iconic lines that he had to do on that very tragic day. And it also, with Jim Aubrey being played possibly by Bryan Cranston, the way that the news covered things in the early 60s is very different than what it did now because the news was very cooperative. You saw it in sports media as well in the 60s where if it was today, TMZ would be all over something where, if there's an athlete getting in trouble. But back in the 60s, oh no, the Mickey Mantle got in a drunk driving accident. We got to cover this up and not let it get out to the public. So there's a mix of that. Then also the public has a right to know everything that's going on in real time. Fascinated by this story. Huge buy for me. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm going to buy it. I mean, it's just weird. I keep imagining Seth Rogen as Walter Cronkite and hearing the. This is Walter Cronkite. That's horrible. That sounds like somebody else. I can't really do Seth Rogen, unfortunately. That's my Seth Rogen. Hi, I'm Walter Cronkite. I'm really bad at impersonations. This doesn't even sound like anybody you know.
Walter, this is a very serious news report.
Yeah, right? I'm on too many meds. But yeah, Seth Rogen's amazing. He's a fantastic actor. He was great in The Disaster Artist. Everything he's in, he does a great job. I loved him in Jobs. So
and I was going to say,
look, so I mean, he can transform. I think give him that Walter Cronkite moment. He's going to have a little of that Seth Rogen in him. But look, covering that assassination story is a horrifying thing. It is a moment of horror in our past. I like how you went to the newsy voice. That's the 60s. That to me was like, the 40s, huh? But you're like, the 60s, right? It's like, how far back do we have to go until the newsy voice? Is that 70s as well?
Before the movie starts, we'll give you the update on Mr. Hitler and what Germany's doing with Poland.
Here we are in the 80s, Chernobyl. Back to you, Mark. I don't know. Yeah, I buy it. Bye.
Okay, Kristian, the guy that was talking a lot of trash to Paul Rudd and the 40-year-old virgin playing video games is now going to have to break the saddest story of the 20th century. What do you think?
I think that, look, this is exactly what Jared was talking about as far as you can only do so much in one genre. And Seth Rogen has proven, though, already, like you mentioned, Jobs, that he wanted to do that. He also proved that he does a lot with producing. He produced The Disaster Artist. He's produced what's the
Preacher. He's doing The Boys.
He wants to do more. He understands. He's a very smart guy. He's a dude that wants to, he can't stay if you stay in what this business is not a forgiving business.
No.
If you can only do so much because they love you for about 5 minutes and they hate you for the next 20. That's just the way that it is unless you give them different things to watch and to do. And if you take risks, that is what he is doing. He's going to try. Now people are going to say, well, wait a minute. This guy's playing Walter Cronkite. Now, it might be a complete miss, and you might not buy it at all, but he took the shot. And if he hits the shot, then that just furthers his career, and he can do more, because this won't sink him if he blows it. No. He's still got a very good producing career, but he's got the connections to make this movie work. He's got the right people around him. That he's a guy that he doesn't just phone it in. He's not just that guy that you'd see in Pineapple Express getting stoned and not taking it serious. From all accounts, he's a very hardworking dude, and he does everything that he can to try to. He's going to try to make this thing work. And he also knows he's a political dude, so he knows that by doing this type of movie, if he goofs it up or doesn't take it seriously, he knows that all eyes are on him. So he's going to take it serious, and it's up to you as the audience to say, well, I liked his interpretation of it, or I didn't. And I think that. Bravo to him for taking the shot. So I'm buying it.
And the relationship he has with director David Gordon Green is going to be a huge boon to his confidence, because when you can actually have somebody who's a friend as opposed to just a director who's hiring an actor to do a job, you can have these intense kind of discussions and be honest with how you're portraying the character. So I think Rogen's going to be great as Cronkite, and I'm really excited for this movie. Actually, Jared brought up a great point where a lot of times you do have comedic actors who move on to dramatic roles with a lot of acclaim. Do you like seeing that trend, or are you more like, I want to see my funny people stay funny?
It kind of depends how the actor handles it, I guess. But I love Seth Rogen so much, and he's hilarious. Pineapple Express was hilarious, and I think it's a smart move when director-actor combinations that have successfully worked together in the past come together again. But I'm curious to see kind of which genre this heads towards, because maybe they do still take it the comedic route, which I hope not, because death is not funny, but there is a chance that they could spin it and make it into a comedy still.
But there's also things that happen in a newsroom that are just like crazy things that go on because it's flying at such a fast pace. So I think there is going to be a level of humor here, but obviously Cronkite and the gang on camera taking it very seriously and trying to comprehend all of these events unfolding as they happen. We got one more buy or sell, and it's a new trailer, and it's not in our language.
A new international trailer from Japan has landed online for Black Panther, and it features even more unseen footage of the advanced weaponry utilized by the people of Wakanda. The movie stars Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa, who must stand against a powerful old enemy who reappears after years hidden in order to defend the throne and save his people. Black Panther is the next entry in the MCU and opens in theaters on February 16, 2018. Schnepp, buy or sell the new trailer for Black Panther?
That's a big buy for me. We were talking about Coogler earlier, and he just, like, every scene in this film and the few clips we've gotten a chance to see just shows you how much he's grown as a director. I'm so excited to see this film. I want to see it in Japanese. I hope it's translated completely in the Japanese language. It's beautiful just to hear that. I was like, I wish I could imitate that. I don't know any Japanese. I just have to watch the trailer again multiple times to get that flavor. In fact, I want a T-shirt of that logo. I was saying that at the pre-production meeting of Black Panther in Japanese.
The Japanese logo.
Yeah,
of
it's just a badass logo. So, do I buy the new clips and little technological nuggets that you see? Sure. I just want to see the movie. Come on.
I love that you point out the technological nuggets, because there's so many shots of the various transportation devices they
totally.
have in Wakanda, and it's all so much better than what I've seen anywhere else on Earth. They have such a cool mystery behind them, and a lot of it is whatever engines they're using to power these flying cars, these trains, these metro systems that they have in Wakanda. So that drew my eye as well. And also, like, there's a lot of clips we've seen before, but Kristian, the way that they stylize the action in here, and it gets me so excited for a number of different elements in there. Michael B. Jordan's backstory is so fascinating to me because we know that we have this king of Wakanda, but then we also have this person who may or may not have been in line to be that person and what that does to him. So I'm getting a very Loki vibe from Michael B. Jordan. Then also, what is this army of female bodyguards, the Dora Milaje, that are also in the background in this trailer, but you know they're going to have a huge role in the movie protecting the king of Wakanda. This all just speaks to what could be one of the best movies of next year.
I think it certainly has a shot to do that because this goes back to the conversation we were just having as far as evolution goes. I mean, you look at Ryan Coogler as a director, guy who starts out with a fantastic movie in Fruitvale Station and then gets a break by doing a bigger studio movie in Creed. Nails it, revitalizes that whole franchise, hence the story we were just talking about before. And now Marvel says, hey, we really like what you're doing. We like your passion. We want you to... Not only is he doing a Marvel movie, he's doing a very important film. The same where Wonder Woman was very important to what Patty Jenkins is doing, what Ryan Coogler is doing. Because, like I said, when we were at Comic-Con, this was 2 years ago. This was the first time I had ever been to Hall H, which is the big, huge event there, and it was the first time that an all-black cast and the black director were up there, and the audience went bananas. And it was just so great to see everyone going crazy and excited, and how wonderful Ryan Coogler was just embracing this and hearing him and how he loves this project. Loves this. You can tell it in this trailer. It's a big buy for me, the trailer, because there's so much that he's doing, and you can tell that his relationship with Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan's another part of the evolution we're talking about, because this is a guy that can do any type of role. He can play the ultimate good guy. He can play the villain, but he's not just going to play a villain like, I'm a bad guy. Like you said, there's a reason behind it. There's a reason why he is doing what he's doing. I don't think it's just going to be a parallel off of Loki. I think there's going to be so much more. So, yes, huge buy for me. Ryan Coogler is one of my favorite directors working today, so I'm excited to see what he's going to do with this project. Michael B. Jordan's another guy that I'm always very curious. And then you have, help me out with
Chadwick?
I can't believe it is
Chadwick
Mr.
Boseman as T'Challa.
Well, I was thinking, I was watching stupid Finstock, and he was talking. He called him Chadwick Boseman, and I wasn't about to say that. So anyway,
probably not rely on him for pronunciation. That's like
that's why
relying
I
on
stopped.
JT for pronunciation.
Well, that's why I stopped. So I'm going to say that I'm very excited to see what's going to happen, and yeah, it's a big buy.
All right, Jared Haibon, we got some buys on the desk. You adding to it?
Oh yeah, I'm a big buy on this, and so I'm excited to see the second pair up between Coogler and Michael B. Jordan. Third, excuse me. Yeah, I always forget about that one. And so I know, and so I'm super excited. The trailer looks awesome. The music, we were talking about the music in every trailer has been awesome. So I already know I'm going to buy the entire soundtrack. It looks great. Black Panther was one of my favorite parts of Civil War. I don't know much about Black Panther, so I'm interested to find out more by watching this movie. I didn't really expect much from him from Civil War, and I ended up loving him. So I'm super excited for this movie. I'm a big buy. Trailer looks awesome.
Yeah, Ashley, better soundtrack in 2018 is going to be the old music I already love from Ready Player One, or is going to be the new music I'm introduced to in Black Panther.
Oh my God, this was me during the trailer. Like, the music is so sick, and the world they created, the lights. But I also thought it was really interesting to see the difference between Japanese trailers and American trailers. Like, American trailers have kind of done out with the talking, basically, besides the actors. Like, there's no voiceover that says, like, Black Panther in theaters, but in Japanese trailers, there's still that voiceover guy. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I kind of missed the trailer guy too, and after seeing all the different flying cars in this, I got myself on the waiting list for a Tesla. 2021 cannot get here fast enough. I want to remind you guys that, speaking of movies like Black Panther, we have our top 50 superhero movies of all time. Continues to go on, and we have a new episode that dropped this morning, as we will every weekday, all the way up until number 1. It's getting good. It's getting competitive. It's getting very divisive, and the comments are flying fast and furious. So check out every one of those vids and let us know, what do you think? Is this movie too high, too low, just right? And we also are going to have a new episode of Heroes tomorrow, as we did yesterday, hosted by that young man, Jon Schnepp. And Kristian Harloff, not only do we have a new Jedi Council dropping on Thursday, we also have this scoreboard thing that I want to remind everybody was taped before anybody saw The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
if they didn't need to know that.
But I can understand. Like, I was, to be honest, and I talked about this. I drive to work and do Facebook videos. But when I did that this morning,
What's the name of it?
It's the Harloff carpool. But
money's in the man.
what I was saying, one of the things that a lot of I was concerned about it going up on yesterday because people would think we all saw the movie and then we were going to give spoilers. But to be fair to our production team, there's so much stuff we have going on here that it was hard to get all the graphics and everything done in time to get it. The original plan was to get the video on Friday. It didn't happen, but we also wanted to debut this series because we think it's going to be really good, really fun, and we had a lot of interesting opinions on it. So I promise you, I give you my word that if you watch the prediction video that we did for Scoreboard, it was all shot on Friday before anyone saw the movie. I would never do that to anybody as a Star Wars fan because I would hate if somebody did that to me. But the other thing that was, as far as Jedi Council goes, Saturday Night Live alum Bobby Moynihan's going to be on the show this Thursday. Big Star Wars fan, so it'd be exciting to have him on to talk Star Wars.
Wow, so Jared Haibon, the second most famous person we have guesting on a Collider show this week. Sorry for the demotion.
I'm on like 6th or 7th, honestly.
We are going to move on to mailbag. I want to remind you guys that at the end of the show, we'll save some time for your live Twitter questions. Tweet us at Collider Video. And I follow the comment section live as we're doing the show. Lupe, Lar, you guys are right. November 22nd, 1963. Very sad day in our history, but maybe not the saddest day of the 20th century. Ashley, let's talk about some more movies in 2018 that we're excited about.
All right. Kevin writes, hey, Collider crew, now that 2017 is almost in the books, what movies in 2018, from the bigger releases to the lesser known movies, are you looking forward to next year? Thanks for taking my question.
Well, you have look, I have Star Wars on the brain right now, so I'm so curious about the Han Solo movie coming out May 25th, which is a famous date in Star Wars lore of 2018. I'm excited to see what that first trailer looks like because that's really going to be the litmus test. Is if we buy, Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, if we're looking at this and saying, yeah, this movie looks great, or ooh, we're a little nervous about this thing. But Infinity War and Aquaman are two of the bigger movie releases that I'm really excited about, paired with Black Panther. So I got those that I'm thinking of right now, Schnepp. Can you think of any other ones that look like they could be winners next year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously going to see all the big blockbuster films. There's a lot. There's so many. I can't even list all of them. But I'll name off. Annihilation is a science fiction film, a smaller film. Natalie Portman. It's directed by Alex Garland, who did a great job in Ex Machina. So that's one I'm really looking forward to. I love seeing. I love science fiction films, and especially like smaller budget, like more intense stories. So that's what that one looks like. So that's one that I'm looking forward to, as well as the return of Predator, as in The Predator.
That's right. Kristian, you're a big 50 Shades Freed fan.
Yeah, can't wait.
What else are you looking for?
Can't wait. What I would say, the funny thing about that is, Mova, remember we went to that, when we did that group trip for the 50 Shades last time. That was one of the best comedies of the year.
Yes, it was.
It was really bad. I would like to do that again because it was so much fun watching. It was almost like seeing The Room. But all right, so there are movies, and I think that curiosity right now is more the word than looking forward to and excited because, well, I shouldn't say that because Black Panther I'm very excited for, like we just said. But like you said, Annihilation is something I'm very curious about. Tomb Raider I'm very interested and curious about. I want to see how that comes out. Now Strangers Pray at Night, is that Strangers the sequel?
Yep.
See, that's something I'm looking forward to.
But the trailer looks horrible.
Yeah, but I'm curious about it.
Yep.
Not really curious about Sherlock Gnomes, but whatever.
Come on, Elton John, man.
Great one.
Sorry, but yeah, I mean, there's Blockers is a comedy that I'm curious about. I think that Rampage, I want to see what happens there.
Right?
Super Troopers 2.
Okay, we're looking
I'm going to
for
look
one
at
or
them. I'm looking at Infinity War. I'm going through it.
You're going week by week.
Deadpool 2, man. Deadpool 2.
Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Yes.
That's the one.
Yeah,
That's like, because I've been waiting
Ant-Man
for
and
like
the
how many
Wasp.
years
Okay, Jared
now.
hasn't. Let Jared give his
Hang
picks.
on, wait a second.
I'm
Jared.
good. I'm listening.
We haven't listed every movie yet so that he has none to go from.
Yeah,
What
Scarface
about,
is still coming out.
Meg is coming out, the shark movie. All right, Jared. Sorry.
I got to follow that up?
Yeah, besides Meg, the 100-foot Jason Statham shark movie.
A couple curious movies. Movies I'm curious about. Obviously, one big one is Halloween. I'm very excited about the return of Michael Myers. That's going to be great. I'm also I'm excited about Mission Impossible 6 because I love Ghost Protocol. I love Rogue Nation, so I'm very excited to see what the 6th one has in store. There's also a couple movies that the Ocean's 8 movie the all-female cast. I'm very curious about that because it's directed by Gary Ross, who's done some pretty good movies. So and it's a great cast. So I'm really excited to see that. There's a new Cloverfield movie coming out, but it's untitled. It's like a movie.
It's called God Particle, but they're going to probably change it into the Cloverfield God Particle.
Yeah, so
like
it's like going to be a part of the Cloverfield universe. So I'm excited to see how they're going to further that story and see if it ties in at all.
Yeah.
And then one movie it doesn't come out till late 2018, but I'm a big Ryan Gosling fan, and there's a movie called First Man where he's going to play Neil Armstrong, and it's he's reuniting with the La La Land director Damien Chazelle. And so I'm really excited about that. That's supposed to come out in late 2018. Ryan Gosling playing Neil Armstrong. I'm in on that. So
fun fact: the moon landing was filmed in the studio right next to ours, right here in Burbank. Ashley, I'm kidding. Ashley, do you have any other movies you're excited about in 2018?
Well, now that every single movie from 2018 has been named, I'm going to go with The Nun. I'm really excited for that Conjuring spin-off. I'm a huge fan of the Conjuring universe, so I'm excited to see what that brings.
Valak. And also, if you guys, there's a trailer that I hadn't seen. We didn't cover it, or I was like not there that day. We covered it on Movie Talk, but I saw it in a theater a couple weeks ago called A Quiet Place. And it's got John Krasinski in it, and it's a horror movie. And the whole premise is these creatures live around this cabin, and they go strictly on audio cues, so the family cannot make a noise, so they can like hang out. They do sign language. It's such a creepy trailer. Comes out in April. Check out the Quiet Ones trailer, and then come on back. Let me know if you guys want to come see with me opening weekend. We're gonna move on to live Twitter questions. Let's do one Twitter question, and then we will call it a day.
Just one? Okay. TJ decks the halls, right? What has been your favorite transformation for a character done by an actor?
Favorite transformation by a character done by an actor?
Robert De Niro, Raging Bull.
Christian Bale and The Machinist.
Oh, I see what you guys are going
we go.
for. Okay, I'm gonna go with Tom Hanks and Castaway, like the weight gain, the weight loss, and Castaway is one of my favorite movies. It's kind of a fantasy of mine, just to maybe not permanently, Jared, but just get away from society for 3 or 4 years. If there was
Turn
a
the phone
Chili's
off.
on the island, it's gonna make me feel better. So I'm gonna go with Tom Hanks. He's pretty good transformative.
First one came to mind was Johnny Depp as Whitey Bulger in Black Mass.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good transformation.
Yeah, he's got those snake eyes.
White
Yeah.
Walker.
That's right. He does kind of play a White Walker with the more of an accent. Okay, let's do one more Twitter question, and then we can. You were complaining about.
I got it. I've got it. Okay. Bryce Wong writes, it seems that there were a lot of stories this year that wouldn't go away. What is the movie story from 2017 that gave you the most fatigue?
Most fatigue?
Let's see how this Disney Fox thing gets to the finish line.
Here we go. The most fatigue for me is talking about like Ben Affleck, whether he's going to play
Totally.
Batman,
Yeah, I'm with
Justice League directors. Just go away. I'm done with it.
Yeah, I think that's probably got to be up there
too.
for me, because there's these things that come across the desk every morning, Jared, and when Riley and I are putting together the show notes, it's like, oh yeah, well, there is a break in the story, so we do have to cover it, but you don't want it to feel for the audience like it's just a rehash of what we talked about last week or the week before. So the Disney Fox thing isn't there quite yet, but the Ben Affleck thing, it's interesting because it has taken a lot of twists and turns, but when you step back and look at it, it's like, let's just have a decision.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree. And to piggyback off that, I would say probably the mustache. Like, I did not want to hear about that mustache one more time, and it just would not go away. And then the movie came out, and everybody was like, CGI mustache. And I'm like,
Can you see the corners of his mouth? Can I just enjoy the movie?
Yeah, because I heard so much about it that I went into the movie, and as soon as I saw him, I was like, I notice, and
See?
I'm like, but if I didn't know, I don't know if I would have noticed or not. So it like took me out of the movie, because then I'm thinking about that, and I'm not actually enjoying Justice League, and I'm like, this sucks.
Jared, thank you. I'm going to pay you $20 after the show for saying that, because so many
Checks in
people
the mail.
online were like, "Schnepp, going to see the movie." There was exactly what I was talking about, where you hear all this stuff before you see the movie, and it ruins the movie for you.
Totally.
If no one knew about the mustache, a lot of people, maybe some people were like, well, there's something weird about his stuff, but no one would be looking at his face like, there it is, there's the mustache.
Yeah.
No one would be doing it. So it's, you know.
And I get the Joss Whedon, Zack Snyder thing. Like, that's a story you cannot avoid, obviously. You're changing directors at some point.
Right, yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah,
but the mustache thing, I was just like, please go away. I don't ever want to hear about it again.
I'm going to go on the other side of that, because I think it was pretty damn noticeable. I never even heard about it, and I looked at it, I was like, what is wrong with his head?
Yeah, it is
Like,
noticeable.
No, it is noticeable, but what I'm saying is like, but you went in knowing he had a mustache.
I didn't know.
You never heard about it.
You didn't hear about Mustache Gate.
You were
I
on
had-
shows where we talked
No, I
about
was
it.
Yeah.
not. Go back and watch that.
I will.
I was
All
not.
right, I'm not going to accuse you of that because I'm not 100% sure.
I didn't know. I had no idea about the mustache. You
What
remember?
did he know? When
What
did he
did-
know
what
that?
did Kristian Harloff know about the
I guess
mustache? We
it
need
puts
Seth
me-
Rogen as well, Cronkite right now.
I
to
know.
report on
I
this.
guess it puts me in front.
Wait, that's not Seth
I guess
Rogen.
it puts me in the front. Well, you're a creepy monster or something. It puts me in the front of like, I'm sorry, I don't always watch movie talk when I'm not on it. I guess that's what happened. But I mean, I had never even known about that. And then I said, wait a minute, what the hell is wrong with his face?
Wow.
And I noticed it.
All right,
like
well, there
that.
we go.
I think a lot of
All right.
people.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I knew about the mustache, but I was like, it looks close enough. Ashley, there's been a lot of news stories we've covered this year. What makes you just like a little have that reflex of when you hear about it? Is it reshoots? Is it mustaches?
All great choices, but I'm gonna go with the Gambit movie because every day it's happening, it's not happening, it's happening, it's not happening. I don't even know. Today isn't happening. It's basically like the new Crow movie.
As of right now, it's happening.
Okay.
Is it happening?
Today
Is
it's
it not? I
happening.
mean, come on.
The Crow movie is in production right now.
Is it really?
What's the deal with Gambit?
Are ceasing production for today. Anyway, we'll be back with an all-new Collider movie talk tomorrow. I want to thank our special guest, Jared Haibon, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, thank you for having me. This was great.
Make sure you check this young man out on Twitter, Haibon_Jared. That's Haibon, Bon, as in Cinnabon. Any parting shots, Kristian and Jon?
Yeah, well, I will say it today. Big match. Last match of the regular season for Schmodown as we have the Nerds Watch going up against Blofeld's Cat. I put up a really cool video that RB3 edited over at the Movie Trivia Schmodown Facebook page. Go and join that. It's a little preview of today's match.
And Jon Schnepp, we'll see you on Heroes tomorrow.
Yeah, check it out tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, Heroes.
And Jared Haibon, you're going to see Star Wars on Friday.
Friday, cannot wait.
Like, if I give you one sentence to close the show out with, your feelings going into The Last Jedi.
Excitement. Like, I don't want to say, excitement. I'm excited to see Star Wars. A lot of people are talking about it. I am excited to go watch it for myself and make my own opinions and judgments.
In the words of a lot of great men and women and somebody else who closes out their show like that, may the Force be with you, always. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.